Morning.
Recording is in progress. I appreciate everyone being here this morning. Tell me, what have you done in the last 24 hours that for your real estate business? Drew, do you want to say something? All right, I'm going to call on you first. What have you done in the last 24 hours that you are most proud of with respect to your real estate business? Drew, you're first, sir.
Sorry, I'm printing off a listing packet because I did my golden letters yesterday. I went to hand them out. I got berated by a neighbor, by the way. She was not happy that I was there. But
she's not happy that you're trying to help her price values go up?
Yeah, I mean, she ended up apologizing for being rude towards the end because I kind of talked her down to explain the situation. That I wasn't soliciting business. I was actually trying to get information.
All right, tell us the good news, and then I'll help you with the.
Oh, okay. So yeah, I did my golden letters, and yesterday evening I got a call, and I set a listing consultation / appointment for today at 11.
Beautiful, great job, boy. That's a fast turnaround.
Donna, I just love your face. It's like mixed pride and mixed like, really?
No, I mean, he's good at it. So, and the thing is, he delivers his golden letters, so he gets like a really quick turnaround.
Yeah.
Well, Andy gets a chance
Very
to, gather more information, right? If you mail the golden letter, I got you, Antoine. When you mail the golden letter, who knows what's going to happen, right? When you hand it to somebody and you're sitting there belly to belly with them, you get a chance to say something else. You're like, oh, I love what you guys did on the front porch here, or gosh, your landscaping looks beautiful. Who did that for you, right? You get a chance to initiate some type of real interaction that
it puts a human behind that text. So it's not just numbers and letters anymore. Now there's emotion, there's actual personality attached to it. So I just think it's so much better. Not only do you save money on stamps and that and do labels and stuff, but you handwrite just I put the Fields family on the front of the envelope. It doesn't look like a letter that you would get in the mail. It looks like something more personal. So I just think that approach is.
And just like we've learned in Bold, it's about separating yourself from the competition.
Mm.
It's like when you call a FSBO and you're trying to get the appointment when they've gotten 50 other calls, what's so special about you?
Yeah.
Right. So Drew, real quickly, what did that person have to say? What were they mad about?
She basically came out. So I had already passed her house and she came out and she actually had my letter in her hand. And then she was ripping it. She's like, there's no soliciting in this neighborhood. I said, ma'am, I'm not soliciting. I'm searching for, if she would have read the letter, it says, I'm representing a client who is trying to find, they lost out on a home in this neighborhood. They're trying to find, the next best thing that's going to come. We can get on it before, the floodgates open. So it wasn't, I was just trying to gather information on anybody thinking about selling. I'm not trying to, solicit a business or anything like that.
And then she apologized.
So she was really she was like, get out of my neighborhood type thing. And I'm just standing there like, wow, it's such a beautiful day. Why do you choose this type of energy? And so basically after I explained to her, I know she read through the letter, but I guess once I explained to her the situation, she was like, well, I'm sorry for being rude. There's just been a lot of restaurants and their flyers are all blowing across the street. I look down the street, there's no paper or flyers anywhere. So I feel like she was making that up.
Well, I'm glad you handled that calmly, because that when somebody starts yelling and screaming at you, we're really being put to the test, right? And this could happen on the telephone too. This could happen in an open house too. When somebody is giving you a hard time, and that you're just doing your job and you're being genuine, you are really, really being put on the spot.
But I see that as an opportunity, because the regular person is going to pack up and leave. So this neighborhood has a defense around it. So if I can just swallow my pride or my ego and keep it moving, keep handing out these letters, other agents aren't going to do that. They're going to leave because they're going to feel like they're doing something wrong. So I feel like that's even more of an opportunity to succeed in that neighborhood if there are people hanging around that are like that.
I think that's a perfect attitude. Great job. Antoine, what do you want to share?
Yeah, I just want to know, like, what do you put in a golden letter?
Drew, what do you put in a golden letter? Give us like a 20-second answer.
So basically, I tailored around my buyer clients, and I'll ask them what neighborhoods they're looking for. And what I'll say is I'll kind of just explain, hey, I'm representing this beautiful family or these wonderful clients, and unfortunately, they put in an offer on a home. If that's happened in your neighborhood and they lost out due to this crazy market, are you yourself thinking about selling? Do you know anybody that may be thinking about moving in the neighborhood? Because right now it's an amazing time to sell. You know, I've got stats in there. But yeah, that's kind of the gist of where it goes.
Cool. Okay, anyone else want to share something they've accomplished in the last 24 hours that they're proud of, that might be a good idea that they can share with somebody else? Anyone?
Hey, Bill, I know you're really against smart plans, but
I'm not. Whoa, hold on. I'm not against smart plans.
you didn't let me finish.
Okay, go ahead.
For people like me.
Man, I'm getting cornered today.
So with the new command app, obviously I've been like playing with it a little bit, but it's been super, super easy for me to add some contacts or just like go through them really easily. So I realized that a lot of people that I had in there that I maybe haven't really talked to yet, I went in and I set them all up on the like, hey, I'm new agent email. I thought I read through it and it was still like relevant enough. And I got 4 emails back out of like 9 that I set up that day. Wow. Asking for my business cards, like, you've always supported me. I'm gonna hand your stuff out at my kids' martial arts thing. And, you know, I got a lot of support back from people that I hadn't touched, and there was no reason why I had not touched them yet.
Can I defend myself for one moment?
Of course.
Wait, isolate the objection, Bill.
So,
and I was joking, just to clarify.
So here's the thing. I think smart plans, for the most part, especially for new agents, they're just too passive,
Sure.
Right? It's like,
I agree.
I met somebody at an open house. Let me put them on a smart plan. What are you talking about? You need to talk to them a lot. Don't be putting them on something where they're going to get a drip in 3 months from you. They're going to already be in their new house in 3 months, right? You need to have conversations with them. You need to go take them to coffee. You need to have a buyer seminar with them that week. Like, when you got a hot lead, they don't go on a smart plan. In fact, they come off the smart plan because now it's time to have, you know, unique conversations with them at a much, much more frequent pace that are specific to their needs. Smart plans are about touching those that are not particularly motivated, right? So step 1 is go get a huge database. Step 2 is put them on smart plans. Make sense? Smart plans.
Yeah, no, and I think that's
raise their hand and say, I've got some questions.
Right.
Then they come off the smart plan, and then you deal with them individually at a much, much more kind of a frequent basis. All right. I think I've defended myself. Is that fair?
No, I agree. And thank you, because that's kind of the mentality I had behind doing that specific smart plan, because I didn't necessarily have the time to sit there and call those 9 or 10 people to have a conversation, but I could at least, you know, do this to kind of reintroduce myself, and kind of, it worked. So
you better call those 4.
Yes. I immediately spoke to them. I took them off that smart plan. Cause like you said, it's a different conversation now.
Exactly.
But now I know the other people who didn't. So now I can follow up with them in a different way, and maybe call or text them, or kind of, you know, do something else, go from there.
And by the way, like, I've been going through my emails a lot lately and unsubscribing to random stuff. And I unsubscribed this lender that I've known for 12 years probably yesterday. And I almost thought about calling him and just saying, hey, Vance, I like you, buddy. I just don't need your emails. Like, for real. Like, you don't have to like think that I hate you or think that it's not okay to ever call me again. I just don't want 4 emails a week from you. Right. So just because somebody unsubscribes doesn't mean they want to end the relationship. It just means there's too much or the value isn't specific enough to them. And you might want to call and say, hey, I noticed you unsubscribed. I was just curious. Is there information that I could share with you that would be more valuable? Or could I share it with you less frequently? Anything like that? No, Bill, I hate you actually. Please don't ever call again. Okay, great. Thanks. Have a nice life. Move right along. Right? Thanks for telling me. Like I said earlier on the morning call, like I was about to waste 20 bucks worth of postage dealing with you this year. I'm glad you told me you don't ever want to hear from me again. Thank you. Right? Ryan, you laughing at me?
I am, and my husband happened to walk through the room and heard you say that. He's over there laughing.
I said, oh, so that was you that called me the other day.
That would have been funny if he was the business owner who I unsubscribed from. It's too much. Like, I know he's around. I'll call him when I need him. Right? It's too much. So the main point is that if somebody unsubscribes, it doesn't mean they don't like you. It just means the messaging is not a match. It's not an alignment. So you could sit there and get your feelings hurt, or you could just say, hey, let me call them and just express my needs or my curiosity around it. Fair enough? All right, so the theme today is the MREA moment. And I didn't get a chance to speak with Candace specifically on this topic. Was there something in particular that you wanted to share today, Candace? Or my thought was just kind of opening it up a little bit, because there's 4 models, and I'm looking at who's on the call, and there's really 2 models that are the most important for newer agents, right? Let's just quickly review what the models are. The first model is the economic model. The economic model connects the desired income to the metric that ultimately needs to be paid attention to. So for example, it would be, I want to make $100,000, and therefore, based on the conversion rates and all this kind of stuff, which we all know how to do, I need to go on 30 appointments this year. So that's basically the end of the economic model. Then you take that and you move it over to the lead generation model. Lead generation model says, where are all those 30 appointments going to come from? Right? Are some going to come from those that I know, some that come from those that I do not know? Which ways am I going to generate leads? Right? I encourage everyone to try it all, but don't try to be the master of it all. Pick probably, let's say, 3 lead generation strategies that you're going to become really, really intentionally good at. Whether, let's say, it's open houses, Facebook ads, and sphere of influence or something like that. Right? And later today, by the way, I'm teaching the Life by Design session. That's from 1:30 today to 3:30. I need to double check with Melody, but I think that's going to be on the Roswell training page, not this one. But we'll certainly let everyone know about that.
Can you just give us a real quick snippet on what that covers? The Life by Design.
Yeah,
class?
let me come back to that. Let me go through the rest of the models real fast. Don't let me forget though, okay? So the lead generation model is basically trying to determine what is the balance of prospecting and marketing that I would like to participate in, and what channels am I going to take advantage of to get the leads to want to meet with me, right? To grow the database and to get people to raise their hand, or how am I going to get in front of 30 individuals this year? The next model is the budget model, which is basically, hey, now we got money coming in and money coming out. We want to make sure that everything is happening in the appropriate ratios, right? We're not spending way too much money in something or way too little money in something like that, right? This is researched best practices, right? At this income level, this is what we believe is the best practice for how you spend your receivables, your income. At this level, it's going to be a little different because you might have hired somebody by that point, these kind of things. And the final model is the organizational model, which is essentially a grouping of all of the different job responsibilities that are necessary in your sales organization. And as of today, you are in all of those circles, right? So the idea is, what are the circles that I enjoy the most, and what are the circles that I don't enjoy so much, and maybe be thinking about who can take care of some of these circles for me. So an example of that would be, hey, contract to close. We got a contract to close person who's already built all the systems. They already have all the templates. They've got it all figured out. And you just have to trade money for that person's time so they can make that process look completely smooth, and you can return back to what really makes you money, which is going and meeting people and deepening relationships. Does that make sense? So I'm going to answer Donna's question, and then I'm going to come right back to which one of those you'd like to spend a little bit more time on. And if anyone doesn't have a one that they're super, super curious about, then I have one that I want to speak about in detail. Okay. So Donna, this is the quality of life concept, okay, which is most people will operate their business in the following way, okay? They will work real hard, they will try not to spend a lot of money, and then whatever's left at the end of the year, they hope to God is relatively in line with the lifestyle that they've been living all year, right? And because most people are not going to be tracking their numbers and making sure that all their investments are, you know, getting the proper return and these kind of things, it's completely unintentional, completely happenstance. And who knows whether the taxes are going to be paid on time, and they're going to be mingling personal money and business money, right? Like somebody, I might say, hey, go to Bolt. It's only $800, right? The average person has 8 transactions when they're in Bolt, and they say, well, I don't have enough money. What do you mean you don't have enough money? You don't have enough money in your business account, or you don't have enough money in your personal account? Like, walk me through that. Like, you see what I'm saying? So therefore, you end up saying no to opportunities that could make a significant difference, right? If I were to say to you, Donna, this is a hypothetical question, okay? You don't have to answer this. If I said, Donna, I got a very specific training process for you. It's going to cost you $5,000. I need you to pay me the money before 9 o'clock this morning, and it's guaranteed to make you $15,000. But if you can't get me the money in the next 9 minutes, then you can't have the program. A lot of people wouldn't be able to pull that off when it's a complete moneymaker. You see what I'm saying? So like, are you saving money for, or investing money, or being prepared to invest money in opportunities to take you and your business to the next level? Or is that way down on the list because your accounting is a mess? You see what I'm saying? So like, how intentional are you about how the money flows? The correct way to think about how to run a business, by the way, would be using the Life by Design sheet that we've all seen, which is the purpose of this business is to fund, or let's even back up even further. The purpose of business is to fund the perfect life. Okay. So we got to fund there's only one way we can fund the perfect life, and that's with profit, right? So why don't we determine what the perfect life is, then let's determine what the perfect life costs, and then let's try to figure out what all of our business expenses need to be, what our business cost of sale are, what our personal stuff is, right? We need to pay for the kids' school, or, you know, health insurance and all that stuff, right? And then, hey, what do we want to do with the profits? Do we want to buy an investment property? Do we want to give something to charity? Do we want to put money in some type of business reserve account or personal reserve account, or get out of debt, or buy a car, or go on vacation, or any of that kind of thing? So let's just say all the profit, you have a desire to spend, let's say, $40,000 this year on profit, or make $40,000 worth of investments with that profit. So don't hope that there's $40,000 at the end of the year, because there's probably not going to be if you're not intentional about it. That should be the very first thing that gets taken care of, right? So instead of just having enough money to pay our bills, let's go create the perfect life and get super clear on what that looks like and what that financially requires. And let's figure out how many units we have to sell to get there, and let's just run that play. Okay. So once we know that, then we put that number into the economic model. Then we say, okay, based on that, we need our 30 appointments. Then it goes to the lead gen model. Okay, where are we going to find the leads? Right? Then we say, hey, we might have to spend some money to find these leads. So let me make sure that the money is accounted for properly. Oh my gosh, it seems like there's a lot of jobs here, right? Lots of responsibilities, right? Okay, who's doing all those jobs, right? So you build out your organizational chart and you say, okay, am I the sign installer too? Am I the bookkeeper? Am I the one that's got to go pick up the lock boxes? Am I going to be the one that's got to meet the home inspector? The short answer is maybe, but not necessarily, right? I mean, we heard in Bold the other day, you know, what's a great way to deliver a pre-listing package? It depends. It depends on how quickly it needs to get there, right? But I could call Uber and say, hey, I need you, good for you today. You ain't got to take me anywhere, but I need you to take this to that address. Thank you so much, right? And they're just perfectly happy because they didn't really want me in the car anyway. They can listen to their music real loud and they can just go drop that off wherever I tell them to drop it off and get paid the same amount of money. Does that make sense? So you don't necessarily have to do it. That's one of the very first things that Gary writes about as a myth understanding in MREA. He says people are not loyal to you, Ryan. They are loyal to the standards that they have come to expect from you. You're not any better at opening a door than I am, right? You're no better at identifying where the kitchen is than I am. They don't care who opens the door. They just want inside, right? That's why a lot of people have adopted the showing model, right? The showing agent model, where they'll hire somebody for a per door fee or a certain percentage of the income and let them do the showings and let them sit through all the traffic and going from one part of town to the other part of town and all that. You see what I'm saying? I mean, we have companies out there. I'm not necessarily recommending any of these companies, but we have companies out there that, you know, use AI to like figure out your handwriting so that they can, it looks like real handwriting and they can drop ship the thank you cards to wherever they need to be sent to, right? Do you have to be the one that does it? I don't know. Maybe you want to be, maybe you can afford to pay somebody else to do it. But I'm just saying there's a lot of jobs and they all are not worth the same amount of money, right? A high functioning real estate agent is probably worth $300 to $400 an hour. Okay. To me, when I hear that, I say, oh my gosh. So if I want to go make calls, I'm worth $300 an hour. But if I go and make this flyer, I'm worth $10 an hour. I think I'll go do more of this work. Right. Or gosh, I got to mow that grass. I think I'll pay somebody else to mow the grass because I can make 20 times that if I just go inside and make calls while I watch the other guy mow the grass. Does that make sense?
That's interesting, Bill. I took a class once, a real estate class, back when I was with Keller Williams 18 years ago, and it was with someone who was a millionaire, and she was a multimillionaire, and she gave a talk, and she was talking about how valuable her time was, and she said, when you talk to someone who thinks like a millionaire because they are a millionaire, she said, they don't do their own laundry, they don't do their own grocery shopping unless they enjoy it, they don't do their grass cutting, they don't do their planning vacations, they don't do their bill pay. They outsource all of that so that they can do what they enjoy and what they're good at. And it's definitely, unless you enjoy, you know, some of those daily things, it's definitely something to think about how other people live. I know I was overhearing Alec talking about some of the things she does for Dustin, and I was like, whoa, I need that. And I've heard Michelle Slater say the same thing about her assistant, some of the things the assistant does for her. And I thought that's just fabulous. I mean, you know, to have somebody go pick up your dry cleaning.
Now let's bring it back to make it a bit more relevant for those that are here, which is you might be saying to yourself, well, I don't have the money to do that, or I don't know who to hire or what to pay them or any of that kind of stuff. The takeaway here is not go pay somebody to do everything you don't enjoy doing. The takeaway is start thinking like a business person who is trying to create an organization that is specifically and very intentionally being built around letting you do the things you enjoy doing the most. Right? So yeah, you probably will be doing a lot of that stuff as you're building your business. But at some point, I want you to start thinking about all the things, like start making a list of the things you don't like doing anymore. And that can become the job description of the person that will ultimately take over that role.
And I also want to say that every single part of it is equally important. Some of it pays more than others, but every single part of it, the showing is so important. The Ubering of the pre-listing packet is so important. So there's no weight of what's more important than another. One activity is more important than another activity. It's just really identifying what you're willing to do and what you're not willing to do. So I don't want you to think, oh, that guy that Ubers is not important, because they are so important. If you didn't have that pre-listing packet, geez, you might not get the listing, right? The showing assistant is so important. So I just wanted to put that caveat in there.
Yeah, great. Okay, is there a particular model that you guys have? I know this is a pretty broad question here, but is there a model that I just described or that you have a specific question about? Because there is one, we've actually kind of started to talk about it. I wanted to talk a little bit about the organizational model today, but what questions, have you guys read the MREA book? Are there parts of the MREA book that you're confused about? Is there a particular topic that you'd like me to spend a few minutes on? You know, I was telling somebody the other day, when Youre just finished his top people's meetings, right? So like earlier in the week, he had all this top 200 in, and then right after that, he has top TLs in Austin and all that. And one of the things that he does with his top agents in the country is he gets in front of the room and everyone's, you know, seated out there, and he goes to his drawing thing and he draws a triangle, and then he turns around and he says, leads, listings, leverage. What questions y'all have? That's the way he runs his meeting, because it's all, that's all it is, right? Is first you end up, as you're building your business, there's only one thing you ought to be thinking about, and that's, how do I get more conversations going? How do I obtain more leads, right? Once you start getting busy, you move over to the next quadrant, or the next side of the triangle, which is, how do I move more towards the listing side and create more systems and efficiencies so that my business so I can reclaim more of my time. And then once you've created more and more of that, I mean, for me, it was in that 125 to 150 neighborhood GCI wise, where I needed help, and I needed help bad, and I didn't care whether you were pre-qualified. I didn't have any energy left. Right? The work just was not going to get done beyond that. So if I wanted to grow bigger, which I did, I needed help. Does that make sense? All right, what have you heard today you have questions about? Boy, did I perfectly summarize the MREA book in like 7 minutes? This is brilliant. If somebody asked me something, you're killing me.
Hey, Bill, it's Jaleesa.
Hey. Okay, what's on your
I had
mind?
to break the silence. So, I'm actually working on some gold and leathers. I got the letterhead paper, you know, got it all filled out and printed them out. Now, I just actually, before I get into that, I wanted to ask, how do I go about getting some addresses for sending out Christmas cards? Because I really don't have a lot of people to send them to, but the couple that I do have, I don't have their physical addresses, and I don't want to be so bluntly asking for them.
Well, there's a couple things. If they own property, their information is in the tax rolls. So I suppose
And most of them don't.
Okay. I don't.
Jaleesa, I'm trying to fill in gaps in my contacts right now. That's in December what I'm doing. So I'm ramped up for January. And I just text people and say, hey, if I wanted to send you something, what address should I send it to? So it's not like
Okay.
asking for their personal address and then they can give you a mailing address, because I have a mailing address and a street address. So depending on who
Right,
you
because
are,
I know
give you
people
one or
don't
the
want to
other.
give their home. Right, okay. Well,
Yeah.
that's
Hey, why don't
that
people
doesn't
want to
sound
give their home
difficult.
address?
I have no idea. It
They're
doesn't
your friend.
click to me. Doesn't click to me.
I like all my
I'm
junk
really
mail to go to
confused
the
by that,
mailing address.
actually. If you have a personal relationship with them, are they hiding where they live? I don't get that. Just
Most
ask.
Well, I
people,
haven't, I can't say I actually have asked already,
just
but I
say
just
that
know
if I
from in the
wanted to
past,
send you,
some,
Yeah, just do what Candace said.
yeah, just say if
Okay.
I wanted to send you something, where would you like it sent? And more than likely, they're going to give you their home address.
Right.
right. And I heard someone earlier ask what to put in golden letters. I'm kind of stuck on that as well because I don't have any specific buyers that's looking into a specific area. So if I wanted to send out just to my neighborhood, the people in my neighborhood, what can I say to them?
Jaleesa, we could talk at 10, and I've got examples of lots of different letters, probably 4 or 5
Okay.
different letters. So we could,
Yeah.
I'll share those with you.
Candace, while I'm
Okay.
thinking about it, can you just make sure that all that is in, all those examples are in the Google Drive too? I know we've got 1 or 2 in there, but let's make sure that everything we got is organized. in
Okay.
there.
Okay.
In general, there's just a couple of approaches, right? There's the, would you consider selling your home? It's a hot market, average list price, or the last 3 sales in your community have been this, this, and this.
Okay, so
It's a
market
crazy
sale.
hot market, low inventory. Would you consider selling? Right, straight to the point. There's another version that's basically, I'm working with a buyer who wants to live specifically in your area, and we haven't been able to find what we're looking for. It's not on the market, so I was curious, would you consider selling?
Okay.
To send out something like that in mail form to your neighborhood, I think that would be effective, but what I think would be more effective is going and knocking on the door and saying, hey, I don't believe we've met. I'm Jaleesa,
Okay, so I've already kind of walked and door knocked my neighborhood, and that was the thing. I was thinking about it not even a few weeks ago, but maybe a week ago before Thanksgiving. And I was thinking about just writing or just sending a letter or a Christmas card to those I wasn't able to service at that time when I did door knock, either because they had just moved in or they already had a realtor or they just wasn't interested at the time.
I don't care if they already have a realtor.
Right. I don't, neither. I don't. I will still want to stay in contact with
92%
them.
of the time, the people that claim to have a relationship with a real estate agent will use somebody different the next time they need a transaction.
Yeah, because what if their realtor is not available at that time, or they, lost the relationship or something? Anything could happen. So I wouldn't be, forceful with them, but I would still let them know that I'm here if they need me.
That's right. And you might
Okay,
say,
so-
hey, what is it that you have questions on? I'd like to give you something of value. What would you like help
Right.
with? Right.
Yeah.
I've even kept people in my database that became realtors because they didn't make it.
Right.
Right.
Okay,
Or
well,
they married a realtor. Well, the marriage didn't last either. Now I'm back to being a realtor.
Right. Anything is possible.
That's right. That's right. So Candace will give you a couple of examples.
Yes, we got to talk later. I forgot me and her.
Maybe even
set
Candace,
up to
maybe
talk
even you
about
could
it
post
all.
those on the chat a little bit, so Antoine and the others can just make sure they have a library of that too, and they can kind of construct their own. Again, the golden letter is it clearly works, right? But it's working at a lower rate than it was like 6 months ago or a year ago, and it is also relatively passive, right? And so you're going to increase the likelihood of that converting by knocking on the door and saying, hey, a few days ago, you got a message, a letter from me, stating that I was looking for somebody that was in this community that's looking to sell. And that's me. I'm Jaleesa. And I just wanted to answer any questions that you may have. That was real. It's not like a solicitation. It's true. Is there anything that I can do for you today? Right. And they say,
Okay, I'm sorry, I have you muted. It's a little loud in here.
That's good. Did you hear me?
Yes, I heard everything.
Okay. So, you take the the marketing piece, and then you complement it with the prospecting, right? If
Okay.
you read MREA, MREA is 20 years ago. And back
Yeah,
then,
I'm reading it now and I'm only at the beginning, but I should be
They-
finishing up soon.
they actually say back then you should be marketing based and prospecting enhanced. Now they've basically reversed that and said you should be prospecting based and marketing enhanced, right?
Okay.
So
I have
marketing
to work on the
validates
marketing.
you, it keeps you top of mind, these kind of things,
Mhm.
right? But prospecting is the active part. It's how can I get you now? How can I have a conversation with you now so I can hear your voice, so I can hear the way you're speaking, so I can ask you directly if you have any questions, so I can ask you directly, how your family is and how work is, and see how you're, dealing with all the stuff going on in the world and all that kind of thing, right?
Right. Mhm.
Okay. I forgot to
Yeah,
mention
just
this
like a test.
at the beginning. Who took the disc class yesterday? Was that awesome or what?
Yeah.
All right, tell me an aha from that.
I remember, I don't know why, I just kept going through my head this morning, but when she said, how you do anything is how you do everything,
I love that.
and I
Thing has
thought,
nothing to do with disc, right?
no, but it just like that stuck with me because I started thinking, is that true? I started thinking about just different stuff, but yeah, I mean, it didn't. But then I also started thinking of, I'm like, because I started thinking, gosh, I really could have used this kind of information years ago, working when I worked more in media sales and you presented to clients and things. And I realized, you know what, I actually did. I didn't know that's what I was doing, but I'd go to a meeting and I would take a whole PowerPoint presentation. I'd also take just a couple of one sheets, and I would take, like I'd have 3 different versions, like just ready to go, because you never knew what kind of room you had, and you had to be able to read the room and adapt. So sometimes I'd be ready to go with a huge presentation. I'd end up never pulling it out because I was like, okay, this is not going to fly with these people. I just got to give them a few one sheets, kind of thing. So I realized like, oh, it's kind of what I was doing, but I didn't know that that's what it was. But, just to think about it that way and just be prepared. And I like that question that she had about the, how would your spouse describe you kind of thing.
That's brilliant.
And I thought, but you should also probably ask them like, how would you describe your spouse? Because, if you have 2 people in the room, kind of how she was saying, that you could have completely different styles, but
You likely will have completely different styles, by the way.
right. So I think you do have to go to the meetings being prepared to either like, oh, I might need to go through all this, or you know what, I might just need to get to the point. So you can't, one thing, like how you're going to go approach the meeting might not be at all how it ends up happening. So I think it's just like to be prepared for, but
That's right. And
be
like,
ready to adapt depending on the vibes you get from them.
and I love the fact that she like almost, what's the word I'm looking for? Like she basically told them after she identified their leading trait, she basically told them about their behavior and then told them that as a result of knowing how they like to receive information, that she's going to deliver it that way, right? Those 4 closes at the end were, like something like this, like, I love what I do, and it's important my clients feel that I have listened to what they want and are confident that I'm the right person to do for the job. Are you ready to put me to work so we can have some fun and enjoy the process of getting your home sold? By the way, that's for an I. They don't want to sit through an 80-page presentation, but they do want proof that you are familiar with what's within here, right? So there's nothing wrong with bringing it, because a high I is more often than not, probably their spouse is not a high I, right? Like I'm not a high I, my wife is off the charts, right? And she doesn't want to sit through the presentation, but she wants to make sure I know it's, cool. So say, here's the binder of all the sales data that I've been reviewing. And to save you time, and because this probably isn't much fun for you, right? I'll just tell you the summary. Is that cool? They're like, thank God. You see what I'm saying? So you basically tell them what they are, and then you give them what they want in a way they want it based on what you've learned.
And I loved when somebody asked the question, what happens if you're talking to the one spouse is a DI and the other spouse is an SC. And she said, well, I put my hand on the table because one is probably being quiet and the one that's D is probably, taking over the conversation. So she said, I'll put my hand on the table, not at them, but just right here, pointing to them. And then she said that I'll say, you've been really quiet. I'd just love to know what's going on in your mind. What are you thinking about? And so she brings that person in so that because they could be the decision maker behind the scenes, right? So she brings that person in. So she's talking to this person in the DI style, but she also brings this person who might be an SC.
Yeah, that's a really good point, Candace, because the person that is the highest D of the couple is probably going to dominate the conversation. And yet the person that is not the highest D has probably lived that the entire time of that relationship. And Cynthia even commented on it, like when she referred to her marriage or her old marriage. Right. The fact that she, felt felt like she couldn't express certain things and these kind of things because of her spouse. Right. They're aching to speak. Give them a chance to speak. Right. Especially if that is the woman. Right. Again, like my wife is super sensitive to this, where like we'll be talking to somebody that we've not spent a lot of time with. And all their questions come to me. Well, what do you do? And where are you from? And yada, yada, yada. They don't ask her a thing. That's disrespectful and it makes her feel weird, right? So give everybody a chance to speak. What else? Thanks for sharing that, Ryan. Let's do one more and then we'll go around the room for the one thing. Who else learned something in the DISC class?
Well, as I mentioned to you this morning, Bill, like it was enlightening for me about my own personality and being kind of that I'm very high SC and
no way.
Being very accommodating. And she pointed out, before you say yes to something, think about what you're saying no to. And I think that's helpful to me because I have a tendency to say yes without even thinking about it. What am I sacrificing by saying yes? What am I taking time away from? Which is typically, like I mentioned to you, my generation.
Yeah. So this is the S close, right? It's important to me, Donna, that you feel comfortable with everything that we've discussed. And I'll be with you. I'll be here for you every step of the way. If I've answered all your questions, when do you feel you'll be ready to put me to work for you, right? Because we know they're going to take some time to make that decision and process it. I thought this page right here, I think I took a picture of it yesterday. The closing scripts. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
There's another one. Did you see the handout she sent by email afterwards?
It's starred. That's on my list for today.
Yeah, it's the do's and don'ts for each of the styles. So I think that would be important to put into the Google Drive as well for people to see.
Yeah, I will do that. Thank you for the reminder. Okay, guys.
I also just want to say I like the way that she did that with the handouts that you had to fill in the blanks. Like I felt like it kind of made you stay engaged and wait. Okay, what's this word going to be? Like it rather than just like, okay, I'm going to read you all these handouts that you already have in front of you.
It was so funny because like there was one on page 3 for the S's that I didn't get the last one. And it bothered me the whole
I think I got that one, but I missed one on another page, so we'll switch.
Oh yeah, okay, because I was like, I think I went to go grab a cup of coffee or something, and like I came back and they had already gone. And I'm like, I have an incomplete sheet. I can't have an incomplete sheet. And I even wrote Candace, I'm like, what's the last
She gave us
one?
the answer key.
Yeah, she
I
did.
was just gonna say yeah. So. But yeah, I agree.
But the whole meeting, I was frustrated because I missed that one thing. that is a personality trait, right? That's a C. I'm a C. I can't help myself.
It's interesting. She probably put some intentional pieces into her presentation to suit all personality styles and her handout as well.
Of course.
So it engaged all personality styles. And wouldn't that be a powerful thing to create content?
Wasn't it crazy that she said she could identify the behavioral style of a little baby based on the way they were moving around?
Yeah.
I mean, what an injustice your old company did for you, Ryan, that they didn't teach you this kind of stuff. I remember
They taught a lot. I mean, there was a ton of training, but it wasn't they called it something different. Like it was a different version of that. But I realized like, oh, this is kind of what it was. It's just, you know, it's just something, it was a much more complex, or it was a different, they called it different things, you know, but I thought this was simpler way to think about it.
It's just gold, guys. Like if you can help, if you can recognize the way they want to communicate, and you can mirror that and use these types of closes and incorporate that type of language into your relationship, it's amazing what it will do. All right, let's start with you, Candace. What's your one thing for today?
I have a meeting with someone who is interested in coming over to Keller Williams. So I'm going to meet her in the
Beautiful.
office today.
All right, I'll be on my best behavior.
Please. I'm even not wearing jeans.
Yeah, I wouldn't have worn jeans if I had known that.
That's okay.
Antoine, what's your one thing for today? All right, okay. Go
Start my new diet.
Okay. All right, one day at a time, right? One meal at a time.
Right.
All right, Alexis, what you working on?
I am going to call people in my database about my open house on Sunday.
Okay, so say to yourself, I am going to speak to X number of people. And then you don't stop until you've done that.
Yeah, I want to speak to at least 30 people.
All right, that's a big goal. That's bold right there. Jaleesa, what's your one thing today?
I think I'm gonna make some care calls and I'll figure out something else to do. I'm unsure for right now.
Okay, all right. Jenny, what's your one thing?
Finalizing some things with my reverse 100.
Okay, beautiful. We are working behind the scenes with Shelter to do some type of reverse bold 100 activity with our group. So stay tuned for that. That's Candace and Alec have been chatting about that, where we'll get some sponsors for, you know, help with lunch and yada yada. Tracy, what are you up to today?
I'm going to add 10 new contacts.
Very good. To the database?
Yes.
All right. We are in the real estate business, so don't be afraid to ask for people's addresses. That is kind of important, right?
Yes.
All right, Donna.
I will reach out to 2 lenders that I've identified to get information on the construction to perm single close loan. And can I add a second thing? I know it's just the one thing, but I need to get 50% of the contacts that I made over Thanksgiving into my database by this evening.
Okay, so you actually brought up a really good point. I want to touch on that for 2 seconds, which is the one thing is all it is it's the most important thing to work on now. Once that's complete, and therefore you earn the right to work on the second most important thing, then you move on to the second most important thing. So don't even consider, I would actually say would probably reverse the order of the 2, but don't even consider doing the second priority until you're done with the first one.
Got it.
Okay. Okay, my one thing is I am back to back with meetings today, but I have 2 people that I am back and forth with trying to get booked for a specific day and time. And that is my intention, to get that all rounded out and then prepare for today's class on Life by Design. So stay tuned for where it's going to be. It's either going to be in here, but most likely it will be the KW Roswell training site at 1:30. Okay. Have a wonderful day.
Bye, everybody.